Okay, Brambro back with some Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Finally getting to episode 2 of this Austria-Hungary series after doing episode 1, I don't know, something like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I think just about everybody watching this is probably aware that the updates in the 1.06 beta were just too frequent, and many of them were, you know, not safe compatible. Just getting an episodic campaign going was, well, it just wasn't possible. But the 106 went live, so we should be stable with that. And in fact, I think it went live a couple days ago, and they've even popped on another hotfix. So this is actually 1.07 live. With the 1.07, I think is just some campaign improvements to things like tensions and so forth. So obviously I actually had to start a new campaign, but the settings are the same. 1910 Austria-Hungary, historical behavior, and whatever the default regular difficulty is. And the philosophy behind the ship designs and their roles is pretty much the same as I showed in episode 1. And roughly similar numbers. Of course, the ships are a little bit different because I had to go design them all. So let's just take, I did want to go through all the, hour plus or more of ship designing again. So what we've got is similar to shown before. We've got a battle cruiser design, and this is intended basically to do the heavy lifting in tactical combat, specifically against enemy capital ships, and should be able to handle anything smaller as well. Right? This is the force that is going to be on sea control mode, out seeking battle with the enemy. As such, I didn't really spare any costs on these things. They've got all the bells and whistles as far as armor quality and tech and that sort of thing. And I think they're going to be able to handle just about anything that is thrown at them in this time frame. Of course, as the campaign goes on, they will increasingly get obsolete, but that's the concept here. I went with kind of a Nelson-esque design with all three turrets forward of the superstructure and the superstructure well aft. And I did that just to get the shorter citadel and save weight and cost a little bit that way. It's got 12.9-inch guns, and I think that will do us just fine for quite a while. I don't think I'll be looking, even if I were to build a new capital ship design anytime in the next few years. I would stay with the 12.9s. I'll probably start thinking about, okay, it's time to heavy up a little bit on the guns. Around the time we get perhaps Mark II, Mark III, 15-inch guns. Until then, I think the 12s will do fine. Maybe 14-inch guns. And then the other, quote, combat ship is I've got several. I've got a DD design here. Basically, this is intended for the convoy attack battles that tend to crop up. So they're pretty well armed with guns, intended to beat up on merchants. They've got a bit of armor to them. And then, of course, there has to be torpedoes. It's a requirement on the DD, and I didn't have with the way that the tech was randomized. I didn't have the triple launcher, so she's got 2 double launchers, center line, and a number of 3.9-inch guns. So I think she'll beat up merchants fine. I think she'll be able to do a little something against DDs and CLs if necessary. But of course, her primary offensive power versus warships is going to be those torpedoes. And then I've got the cheap cruiser, which is maximized for range and minimized for cost. And y'all saw the design philosophy in the last episode. Basically, get as much tonnage for as little money as I could, with a target of about $800 per ton, and she came in right at that, about $803 per ton. Now, the ship is still going to get pulled into combat sometimes, and so I did give her nice towers and rangefinder, and maximize the caliber and length on her 6-inch guns. I think she'll be able to hold her own and contribute in combat against enemy CLs and DDs. I think she'll still handle okay, and will probably, at least contribute towards CAs. And she's just going to get sunk against battle cruisers and battleships. That's really about all there is to it. Or we might be surprised, But the main thing here was for power projection purposes. This is the ship whose existence in the fleet will keep us from getting blockaded. That's her primary purpose in life, and so that's what we got, and that's pretty much like we laid out in the episode 1. And so what have we got? Actually, I've got 6 of those battle cruisers, a pair of them in each port. The idea is that they will operate in pairs if I put them into task forces. And then I bought 12 destroyers, 6 of them in Pula, 6 of them in Katara. And then I bought 16 of those cheapo cruisers, and I put half of them in Pula and half of them in Spalato. So what is that doing to our finances? I've got crew training maxed. I've always felt through various versions of the game, since the campaign was introduced, about 7-8 months ago, I've always felt that crew training might be the best dollar for dollar, value for dollar investment in the budget. So I'm doing that. We do have a fairly large fleet for Austria-Hungary. And so just to kind of maintain the monthly balance and the naval funds, I'm at 0.2% on the transport capacity, and I'm at 80% on the tech budget. I think it's pretty obvious that, we're probably going to wind up at war with multiple nations, but the geography is such is that our primary naval competitor is Italy. And so it's going to be Italy's fleet that we keep an eye on and try to maintain ourselves in a position to do something about in the Eastern Mediterranean. And with that, I think we're ready to go ahead and get the campaign started here momentarily. Oh, well, now that we've started the campaign, the monthly balance is actually tons better. I guess it was calculating construction costs since, you know, pre-start, you're buying the ships. Right, okay, so got Pula pretty much full. 179,000 tons and a 213,000 ton capacity port. Spalato pretty much full. We've only got about 10,000 spare tons available there for capacity. And got a little bit of room in Kataro because I don't have any cruisers in there. Alright. How's our power projection in the East Med? Yeah. Ain't nobody blockading us. And that's the whole idea behind that buttload of armored cruisers. Because we're limited. You know, we only have the 3 ports. And my understanding is pretty recently in one of the later 106 updates, I think I've read that the port capacities finally start to increase a little bit. But, well, Italy's is going to as well, and they obviously have a lot more ports to the tune of even just their East Med ports. They can still have a slightly higher overall tonnage and port capacity, and that's not even counting their West Med ports. So we'll just have to see how all that goes. Let's have a look at the research. Nothing is terribly close that is super juicy. We're still about a year away from electro-hydraulic steering gear. It's kind of a nice to have, not something that makes me think, oh, I need to do a new design when that comes. What's our next major hull? In about a year, we're going to have Dreadnought 3. Okay, so that might put us in a situation where it will be advantageous to build a battleship instead of a battlecruiser. At least we'll have it available. I don't think that's going to happen just as soon as that hull gets researched. Still over 2 years away on the next level of armor quality. What else is close? Over a year away on the next Citadel. Pretty close on the next gun, which will be the Mark I 14-inch. That in itself, I am not thinking, oh, deploy that immediately. Maybe when we get to the Mark II, I'll at least go into the ship design and we'll have a look at the differences in accuracy and weight and cost and that kind of crap. Over a year away from the 20-inch torpedo, and none of these down here are even showing any time length. So there are, you know, anything that's not showing some number of months is even farther away. So okay, and I don't use these priorities. It says free. That just means these are free to be used. They're definitely not free. I think most people are aware of that. You pop one of these on and yeah, like if I wanted to speed up armor quality a lot, everything else slows down. So I just let everything just progress as it progresses. Given that we do have a little bit more money, though, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and bump these up. Okay, that leaves us a little more than $5 million a month to grow our naval funds a little bit in peacetime. Let's see how much money it's going to take for us to. As far as I've ever been able to tell, one doesn't get a discount for longer project. Like it's 19 million for a 1900 ton capacity for over 6 months, and then a 12-month. I'm going to go ahead and build this. Not saving money, but I am getting more tons per month this way. Yeah, I'm going to have to back off. Let's just back off transports to 0.25, and we'll back tech down to about 95. Okay. All right. Well, we're at peace for now, so we're just going to have to be doing a bit of clicking through the months with whatever events come up. And yeah, predictably enough, crap relations with England and France, good relations with Germany, and right now we're zeroed out with Italy. We'll just have to see if it heads toward friends or heads towards enemies. I think it's most likely to head towards enemies, but I don't know if that's hardwired, as it were. All right. Is that positive? Did we actually go up with Britain? Are these all positive? Yeah, that was positive. We've actually increased relations with Britain. All right, right out of the gate, Italy is refitting 16 ships of the Bari class. It doesn't tell us what kind of ship the Bari is. Every month, these tension improving events are occurring between us and Britain. And in fact, okay, this is our first actual kind of choice event. Several of our countries' shipbuilding industries constructing warships. What is my opinion about that? Any business cooperation improves our relations, which is pretty much a buff with everybody, with everything except for naval prestige. Unrest. Limited scope. Don't leak our tech. A little bit of a GDP boost from that. A little bit of unrest, not as much. So this is kind of the medium non-committal. And I am against this practice. Okay, it helps unrest, helps naval prestige. This is off the British and French. Okay, well, the unrest is not a big deal. Either way, it would be nice to get into the positive for naval prestige. I think I'm going to go ahead and be belligerent on this one. We'll zero out our unrest. I don't think it can go negative on the... Well, maybe it can. We'll find out. I think I can afford the relations with the British and the French. Let's do that. Okay. Continuing on. All right, we've come to another event where reporters are asking me questions about international weapons. I'm not interested. We can produce much better, but we can't tell you about them. More naval prestige, and we're in the positive. I'm not interested in this. Ooh, some of the weapon exhibits are fascinating and superior to our own, so we will consider adding them. Okay, that 56 million in naval funds in exchange for 2 unrest. That's pretty attractive. Realized our country is keeping pace with military developments, and our own weapons are as good. Gives us a little naval prestige, and okay, so that's good. However, we're at 0 on unrest anyway. I'm gonna take the money. I don't really think, yeah, we need to buy other guys' weapons. I don't think that's really true. But hey, money. All right. Balance has come up a little bit, and we've got a lot of naval funds. Let's go ahead and just top out on research. I thought I had put this on 2.5. Okay, that's fine. Okay, the French Empire has increased its navy budget considerably. Well, we have to keep up with the Joneses. Prestige and more budget, more unrest. We're strong enough. We don't need to increase. Oh, that... Now, why would that... I mean, if we're projecting confidence that we're doing fine, why does that piss people off and drive down our naval prestige? So that's a bad one. Oh, our budget's already too high. We need to invest more in the economy. Well, we get prestige from that. We lose unrest from that. We improve relations with France. We do drop 1.5 in naval budget. But you know what? We're positive. We have over 150 million in kind of stashed away naval funds. And we get some GDP growth, which will feed back into our budget. So that 1.5 naval budget percentage drop, it won't be quite that big because we'll get some back from the increased GDP. I'm actually going to go with this. Oh, there's another one. Are the British a possible enemy? We consider Britain a potential adversary. I don't think I like that. We're ready to fight anybody. I don't like that. And in the near future, there will be no war. Okay, so basically they all kind of suck to one degree or another. So none of these are good. I think I'm going to choose the least bad, which I think is this one in the middle. Yeah, we'll fight anybody without calling anybody by name. Ooh, TNT. Ooh. That's a whole lot of... I think that's almost worth a refit on the battlecruisers. And it should be a pretty short, pretty inexpensive refit for just that one change. And that much lower flash and ammo debt, shell velocity, increased. Yeah, this is worth doing. Even if the refit's just for that. It looks kind of goofy with that. Nelson. And there's a whole bunch of unused space back here. Okay, what does that do to us? Refit. some reason. Oh, yeah, okay. There is a weight impact, which is throwing off the forward weight offset just a tiny, tiny bit. I wonder if I can bring that back with a little armor jiggling here. It's forward weight. What happens if I drop an inch forward? Ooh, no good. What happens if I increase aft? Yeah, I really can't fine tune that to 0.1. Not without like fiddling with it forever. I think we can live with 0.1%. Let's just do one and see how long it is. Send the Loudon into refit. Cost per month 304K, fine. And how long does that take? 2 months. And actually we'll save just a little bit of money. So yeah, I don't think we're going to fight a war in 2 months. Let's do all of them. They demand for us to stop naval activities near their borders. Dude, I'm sitting here in the Adriatic. I'm not doing crap. All right, Prime Minister. Go tell the British, agree to their demand and try to pacify them? No. That's just like the all bad option. Refuse to comply. We must be free to navigate, of course. Prestige and rest. -10 with Britain. Counteroffer. No. I think we can afford -10 relations with Britain. And if we do go to war with them, okay, they got Malta. Big deal. They're not a big threat in the East Med. Got our electro-hydraulic steering gear. And our Dreadnought 3 hull. And a 15,000-ton heavy cruiser. Italy has just pulled all of their ships out of the East Med entirely. We are uncontested, even from a peacetime perspective. And they've put all of their stuff in the West Med. They appear to be a lot more worried about France than they are about us. And Italy has put all their naval power into the West Med, and France has put over 90% of their power projection into the West Med. They're clearly kind of squaring off towards each other, although their relations are pretty good. So I don't know what's up with that. Our relations continue to improve with Britain. They're still poorer, but a lot better than when we started. Our most likely opponent at the moment remains France. However, it has not deteriorated since the start. I chose one event choice that put us to -78, so it's actually improved. The trend right now is improving with France as well. This might be a while before we get a war. Okay, large industrialists proposed a redistribution of the government's budget at the expense of the military. Navy's budget should stay as it is. Well, that's certainly what I would like to say. We could probably afford that if there's not a better option. Ready to sell their homeland for some extra pennies. Budget goes up, GDP goes down. Yeah, I don't know about that. And then the completely wimpy response, I shouldn't say anything. Which, out of the effects of all three, I kind of like that one the most. Yeah, I'm just not going to tell the reporters anything. Yes, we'll drop our naval budget percentage a little bit, but the GDP goes up. So we get a little bit of that back and we get more naval prestige. I'm going with that one. Force draft blower is unlocked, which brings a lot of funnel capacity, also brings a lot of smoke. It's a good thing to have available as an option. Doesn't make me want to run out and design a ship. Okay, well, our finance minister got into some trouble over in Britain. Do I want to rattle swords over that? Okay, that's a possibility there. Prestige in exchange for relations. Or rattle the sword some more. Diplomatic protest. Yeah, nah. Or, yeah, whatever, things happen. We'll just express our concern. This is really kind of the middle ground approach here. I want to build the naval prestige. That's why I don't want to do this one. And we don't need the unrest buff because we're at 0 anyway. We'll do this one. So I really want to incorporate this. I just don't know exactly how. Either A, it just applies to our ships now. I mean, this is almost it's a fire control, fire control table. It's a different method rather than a lot of hardware. Well, I mean, there's the mechanical computer. So I don't know if this applies to existing ships, if it automatically applies to any new built ships, if it applies to refits. Doesn't. So I don't know exactly what's required to incorporate this. If I had the numbers memorized from the designs, I could just go in and look. But I don't, so I wouldn't be able to tell if these were applying to our battlecruisers or not. Got better 3-inch guns. And we have bigger torpedoes. We're using they're 3.9s, but we're using modified 3-inch guns on the destroyer. I wonder if there's some room on that destroyer to get both the bigger torps and the improved guns. Let's have a look. Oh, I don't have to refit. They're already Mark IIIs. Okay. How much trouble would it cause to go to the 20-inch torpedo? What if I drop the crew quarters? That'll do it. That may have made the damn thing cheaper. Just gamble. Do them all. One month. Okay, Germany, trade agreement, which favors them. So we either take the trade agreement, which, I don't like any of that, or we don't need Germany as a friend. I think we can afford -10 relations with the German Empire. And we get more naval prestige. Yay! Doing that one. We're swimming in money. Just max out the transport capacity. Still got a ways to go on our shipyard. Well, well, it was 24 months, so that'll be January 1912 when that completes. Okay, well, Germany is back, asking a significant financial aid for their short-term expenditures, which we can pay. Special trade agreement will increase our GDP. Without seeing the numbers, I bet we can afford this. Sounds like a good deal, as we have enough funds. That's 100 million. You know what, though? We have 247 million in surplus right now in our piggy bank. Let's go ahead and take the GDP. That's a good tech. Oh, the reporters are mad at me for ship construction shenanigans. We have nothing to do with the politicians. Well, okay, I don't like that. We don't need to drop unrest. I will conduct a personal investigation. Yeah, I just spent a lot of naval funds. I'm not doing that. I don't think. Depending on how bad this other one is. Yuck. I like the naval budget. I certainly like the 20 million back in naval funds. Hurts GDP, hurts naval prestige, it increases unrest. Yeah, I don't like that one. I think this is the least bad of the three. I'm going with this. Giving up a little bit of prestige, but we've actually built up a fair amount. Okay. Okay, well, the industrialists are ready to give us some money. 138 million. So this will pretty much come back and refund everything that we gave to helping out the Germans. That's pretty attractive. This is pretty attractive too. I like building the GDP. This is a juicy short-term solution. I'm going to take the long view. GDP. I sure am tempted by this money up here. Rutrow. Okay, so relations have been, aside from a choice or two from events, relations have been improving with Britain, but England and Germany have gone to war. We're kind of buddies with Germany, even though we're not allied. Big boost with Germany, big hit with Britain. Oh, and France and Germany as well. Yeah, I think this is going to be enough to put us into a war with France. And if we weren't already, I think the relations boost with Germany is going to be enough that we're going to be, well, at least we'll have a choice to have an alliance with Germany. All right, France has sent us an ultimatum demanding to withdraw. Is this the one where we go to war if we are belligerent? Kind of looks like it. A bunch of prestige, some unrest, and I would have thought we were already high enough to go to war with France anyway. Maybe that's what triggers this event. We can obsequiously give them a lot of money, or we can cravenly give them even more money. That would pretty much burn our entire piggy bank right there. For plus 20 relations. It wouldn't make us, so it wouldn't make us friends. It would just avoid war. I mean, if it was something like plus 80 or plus 100, where it just completely resets and changes the diplomatic picture of the game, I might consider that. It doesn't. We'll just slide off into the war with them soon anyway. Yep. Absolute disgrace. Tell them to pound sand. War! Okay. So we've gone up and down with the predictable folks. Interestingly, that's a big boost with Italy. So that, I kind of been thinking East Med, our primary peer and competitor is Italy. I don't think that's the way this first war is going to turn out. I think we're going to be on their side. I think. So I'm continuing to click through here to see if this is a pretty interesting decision. Relations with Germany alliance possible, but they want a special trade agreement to get there. That is super expensive and kills our naval budget percentage and increases unrest. For 30 relations, that doesn't seem worth it. Or we get plus 15 naval prestige, minus 3 unrest, and minus 50 relations with Germany. That sounds like a bad deal, except I think our relations with Germany is probably going to continue to increase anyway. This here just seems too expensive. I'm going to take the independent route here. Okay, now France and Italy are at war. We deteriorate with France, which we were already at war with them anyway, ostensibly. We might wind up in an alliance with Italy, which seems odd. And we're still pretty positive with Germany. I mean, if they just asked for the alliance, I would have said yes. And not make me give you 130 million for it. Croup Armor 4. We are starting to get into territory where doing a fairly major refit to the battlecruiser is starting to sound attractive. Okay, so we're now 1910, 1911, a little over 2 years into the campaign, and actually our port capacity has come up a good bit. I think maybe they've tweaked this again. We started the campaign at about 210,000 at Pula, and we're up to 280. So almost 40,000 tons. I wish I had looked at that before I completed the shipyard. I wonder if they tied it to the increase in shipyard size, or if that was just growing. Didn't pay attention. Spalato was about 185, now up to 255. So we've gained 60,000 tons of capacity here. Guitarro has come up a good bit as well. Okay. I thought I'd been reading that the increases are pretty small, but it looks like they have improved that. So that we've got a lot more room to build some more ships now. And I think we've gotten enough tech where it would be worth building some new ships now. I think maybe the reason why we're not having any battles with France is for the simple reason that there is no French presence in the East Med. If I made a task force and came over here to throw down with the French, that would probably work, right? All right, I think what I'm going to do is we'll form a task force and we'll send a force over into the West Med around Tunis and see if we can't get into a scrap with the French that way, or maybe they might get pulled into a battle between the Italians and the French. That's a possibility. But I think that that will come in the next episode. And I may also have a look at a new ship design, some of the text that we've gotten. If you like what we're doing with the channel, if you like the content, then leave a like, leave a comment, maybe even subscribe. But at any rate, thank you very, very much for watching. I appreciate it.